in or earbuds, take them out. Okay. This class meets Monday and Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. in this room. Okay. However, exams, while lectures will be in here, the exams will be online. Okay. How many of you like to sit right next to somebody and take an exam?
I do.
One person, so you can sit next to your friend and do it. Okay. One person, two people, three people. Actually, I do too. I like taking exams because I'm a weirdo. But as you can see, the vast majority of you aren't that interested in that. Okay. So you're going to take the exam for this class online. So we're going to talk about it in just a second. But every Monday and Wednesday, you're going to be in here in this room, and we'll take attendance, okay? And we'll have some polls, and we'll take attendance using that Cengage app I was telling you about that you can download on your phone. Okay, but let's hold up on it in a second. We're going to do it. Okay. So we're going to take attendance that way, okay? And at the end of the semester, if you have an 88.9, but you have really good attendance, then you'll get an A. Or 78.9, you have really good attendance, then you'll get a B, right? Is it worth it to come to class? Yeah, right? The other thing is, I actually say things that are, useful down there, right? Okay. So I want to tell you about this class. So this is up here in the green area. We have labs on Friday, and in a little bit, I'm going to introduce you to your fellows, but not quite yet. That's me. Melanie has to be around it. My office is in 229 Dale Hall Tower. How many of you have been to Dale Hall? The big, okay? The tower's right next to it, okay? The tower's right next to it, second floor. You come up the stairs in the elevator, and you go down the little short hall. There's bathrooms on your right, there's windows on your left. You go around the corner, I'm right there. Okay, then down at the end of the hall, your lab teaching fellow, and you guys are going to be in small labs of 25 each, so there are 10 labs in this class. And they will be led by, people I'll introduce you in a second, but by Leah and Eric and Willow and Dennis, and who's our fifth in here? Oh, Peter. Where is Peter? Oh, there he is. Peter. Okay. And Peter. Okay. And they will lead your labs on Fridays. Okay. I'll show up occasionally just to see what you guys do. But on Mondays and Wednesdays, we're here. In your labs, you're going to go somewhere else. And when you look on your schedule, you can go on one.ou.edu, and it will tell you where everything's located. But the reason we do it is like this is for a reason. And it goes down to the course description. University of Oklahoma seal. How many of you have seen the University of Oklahoma seal? Okay, what does it look like?
I remember exactly what it looks like. Is there like a scooter with like the horses thing on there, a couple wagon on it?
There's a seed sower, right? He's sowing seeds. Okay, seeds are like the statue out here at the front of what used to be the South Oval. There it is. Okay. And it says, Chiwi et Republicae. That's Latin. How many of you speak Latin? Okay, so what does it say? What? Close. People in the Republic is closer. The motto of the University of Oklahoma is for the citizen and the republic, for the citizen and the state. That's our motto. That's the whole reason we exist here as a university, to create citizens. And that's what this class is about. This is important because, as I say here, democracy is fragile. It's really fragile. Women and men, regardless of color, during the early years of the United States, had the right to vote in parts of early America. But by 1808, that was gone. 20 years. By 1808, it was completely gone, and it changed to being only free, white, tax-paying men. okay? And it took 62 years for men of color to regain the right to vote. And 100 more years before that right was fully enforced everywhere in the United States. It took women 112 years to regain the right to vote. And it started with a court case in Massachusetts that said married women are property, so they have no identity outside of their husband. And by 1808, zero rights. People had to fight tooth and nail to defend their rights to self-government. That's our experiment here, right? We have this experiment in self-government, and we can lose it easily. Coming close. The American promise is that we as citizens shape our collective destiny within the framework of constitutional protections of liberty. Because democracy is majority rule, right? We're not exactly that, because majorities tend to trample individual rights of others. Or really powerful minorities do the same. The ability of citizens to self-govern requires that we are able to tell what is good information and what is bad information. We need to understand the system. In 2016, there were a lot of people who were very much in favor of then Senator, still Senator, Bernie Sanders becoming the Democratic nominee for president. They thought they just had to show up at the Democratic National Convention and get on the floor and vote for him, and Bernie Sanders would win the nomination as Democratic nominee. That's not how it works. They didn't register to vote. They didn't actually vote because they didn't register to vote. And so they didn't have a say, no matter how loud the drum circles were. Okay? You have to use the system. That means you have to understand the system. And you have to participate. How many of you know that there's a runoff primary election tomorrow in Oklahoma? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many of you are from the state of Oklahoma? Woo, that's a whole bunch more than 7. Right? How many of you are registered to vote? A little bit better. You have some things for you right here. You can't vote tomorrow if you register today. But you can vote in November. How many of you know we have a midterm election? What's a midterm election? What does that even mean? Every 2 years, we have congressional elections and statewide elections. And people at the state level make policies that are more impactful on your life than people at the federal government often. They're both important. And people don't vote midterms the same way they vote with presidential elections. They're like, oh, the president does everything. No, the president doesn't. Class is going to focus on critical thinking, civic knowledge, and active engagement. So those labs on Friday, you're going to learn how to do things, right? That's my teaching fellow over here. In lab, civic life, current issues, analysis of political information. You're going to do simulations. As I've told my teaching fellows, Fridays are when you are acting, when you are actively doing something to learn the processes of being a citizen. This was scholarship that was presented for the first time at the University of Oklahoma last year. That shows that young people, first of all, vote less than any other group. Any other group. Number one. You guys are like, yeah, we know that. But number two, the reason for it is not because you guys aren't interested. It's because you've never been shown how to do the mechanics of being a citizen. Nobody's ever shown you what a ballot was, or how to go through the process of registration, or how to find your precinct. Right? How many of you have voted before? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 12, 29 of you, right? Not bad. 40. Not bad. But that's over 200 of you that haven't. Okay? And maybe it's because you've never been old enough to do it before. That's cool. But the first time is hard. Because it's hard to learn how to do something new, especially something that is, I have to go to a place. I have to fill out some paperwork. What? Yeah. If you go to Oklahoma Voter Portal, you can log in. You can put in Hungry Rally if you want to. Oh, this is there. Date of birth. Easy young. Put your best. It shows where his precinct is. It shows what elections he's voted in before. This is important because, hey, look, if you registered to vote and you have the same name as a felon, there's been a lot of voter roll purges this past year, and they'll just take you off. So you should check and make sure you're still registered. This is what a ballot looks like. This is the ballot for the Republican primary runoff. Oh. Yeah, 107? Yeah, Hungry Rally. It's Hungry. Well, you can look at my mother if you wanted to. She's somewhere else. That's on me. Okay. All right. So the thing is, here's this ballot, right? Which is the Republican primary runoff. With your registered Republican, this is what it's going to look like tomorrow. You're going to have a choice between Todd Russ and Clark Jolly for state treasurer. This is a primary. This is who the nominee will be. Okay. Superintendent of Public Instruction, there's Ryan Walters and April Grace. Right. There's Leslie Catherine Osborne and Sean Roberts for Commissioner of Labor, Kim David and Todd Thompson for Corporation Commissioner. And then there's for Senate, right? There's a runoff between Mark Wayne Mullen and T.W. Shannon. Again, these are for the nominees. And then for County Commissioner in actually Oklahoma County, I believe, he has that as well. If you are a Democrat or independent, your primary runoff ballot will look different, okay? Because primaries and primary runoffs are just saying who the nominee is for that race. Now, if you are registered as a Republican, do you have to vote for a Republican in the general election? No. If you're registered as a Democrat or an independent, can you only vote for Democrats and independents in the general election? No. Okay? We'll talk more about this, I promise. But there's an election tomorrow. If you're registered to vote, you should vote. You should find out. And you should vote. So, our concept is this. By exploring how our system works and providing opportunities for active engagement, you'll become informed and active citizens in this great human experiment called self-government. You have a choice. You have a choice to be a citizen or a subject. But it's your choice. And if you don't do anything, you're making the choice to be a subject. You're making the choice to be unequal. You're making the choice to not have a voice. Okay? right, so let's talk a little bit more about this class. Let's talk about our teaching fellows. So I'm going to introduce each of you, and if you'll stand up, that would be great. You guys might look on one.ou.edu, and will tell you what sections he is teaching. So Bulbul Ahmed is from Bangladesh. This is his first semester with us here at the University of Oklahoma as a graduate student. He is studying political science, public administration specifically. And what sections are your sections? On lab sections on Friday. Which one?
Lab section.
Yes, which numbers?
35, 36.
35 and 36. Okay, so if you're in 35 and 36, he is going to be your TA. You're gonna, only 50 people are gonna go directly to him. You can always come to me, but you can also have, I teach 600 students this semester. So he has 50, right? So he's your guy. Anything you want to add, Bulbul?
Welcome to this class. And I think we'll continue our classes and labs as it is your new journey, and hope everything will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our next fellow is Dennis. This is Dennis's third year here, second year here, his second semester with me as well. And so Dennis, tell us a little bit about, Dennis is from Kenya and he has like 17,000 degrees, just so you know. He'll tell you a little bit about himself.
My name is Dennis, and I'll be taking section 40, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. I'm from Kenya, she said, and yeah, I think you'll get to know me in class.
33 and 40, okay? All right, so we also have Leah Hales. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Leah. Leah was an undergraduate here at the University of Oklahoma. She was a political science major. I had her in class. She will tell you that I'm awesome, but she's biased, that's fine. She is studying public administration she's getting her master's in political science. This is her first semester as a master's student. Leah.
So I am teaching the lab sections 31 and 32. I study comparative politics and public policy in the Middle East. That's pretty much about me. If you need anything, don't be afraid to reach out to me if I'm your TA or anyone else, or Dr. Robert. We're here to support you, especially if this is your first semester here.
Absolutely, and if you'll notice, there are office hours up and email addresses there as well. Next, we have Peter Olsen, and Peter is at the Carl Albert Center for Congressional Studies. I actually studied at the Carl Albert Center as well. I was a comparative legislative person. But this is Peter's first semester with us. He's a PhD student in political science. And go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so I will be leading lab sections 34 and 39.
Anything else you want to say?
I'm from Michigan, so what's my favorite food? I like Thai food. It's pretty good.
Nice. All right. So, and we have Eric Tapia, last but not least. Eric has been with me for 17 years.
That is ours, the iron result, right?
Yes. So Eric this is actually Eric's fourth year with
Final year. Yeah.
fourth and final year. He has taken his exams in political science, so he is A, B, D, all the dissertation. He's writing his dissertation right now and taking care of you guys. So, Eric.
Yeah, so I've been with Melody. This is my fourth year with her. Enjoy it. Kind of help oversee everything and all that kind of stuff. So technology problems, all that. Lead 2 labs on Friday. Do I know the number? No, but you can figure it out.
If they weren't mentioned by anybody else, then those are his.
Yeah, those are the numbers. So, I live in Edmond, out there a lot, do a lot of things in the community, all that kind of stuff, Oklahoma politics, always serving the community. Hail from Sand Springs, up by Tulsa.
Which is near Pryor, which is where.
It's the cultural center of the capital of the universe. I don't know, something like that. Center of the universe, if you're from Pryor, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. Like Mexican food, Italian, coffee, do a little bit of half of that. Just let you all know.
They need to bring in coffee. Okay, So, while I have you here, and I'm about to talk to you about the requirements of the course itself, okay? I'm gonna ask you to raise your hand if you need a voter registration form, because in Oklahoma, if you are in Oklahoma, or if you're living in Oklahoma as a student and you wanna vote here, you can do that, okay? If you wanna move your registration because you're registered, somewhere else in Oklahoma, you can do that too. Oh, you have Texas too? So Oklahoma and Texas voter registration forms, Eric's walking around, just raise your hand whenever he's near you or take one and he'll get that. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Dr. Melanie Huckabee Rowlett. I have been at the University of Oklahoma for the most part of, well, I was a freshman here in 1989. So I was a freshman here in 1989. I got a law degree. And then I went and practiced law, and then I got a PhD, and then I went away and taught for about 10 years in Texas, and I came back, and I've been here since 2013 teaching at the university. I'm from Pryor, Oklahoma, as Eric tried to say, but failed several times. It is the cultural center of the university. If you've never been, you should totally go. I mean, we do have Google, so Wi-Fi is free in the streets. That's not nothing, okay? When we're talking about, I mean, by that, like, Google lives there. It's the home of Google, right? Not every, like, we all have Google, right? Not where Wi-Fi is free. So I study representation for the most part. I did my dissertation in comparative legislatures, like I said, in Mexico, Argentina, and Brazil. But I look at institutions of representation and how they interact. On campus, if you guys go to your campus site, you should be able to see this class. If you cannot see this class, I need you to send an email to OUIT and tell them you cannot see this class and you should be enrolled, okay? Or talk to your advisor, either of those two things. I can't fix it from my end. I cannot fix that from my end. They can't fix it. OUIT can fix it, your advisor can fix it. Text and quizzes. There are quizzes on Cengage, which is part of what you pay for in this class. The textbook is part of what you pay for in this class is an online textbook. And if you go to start here in Canvas, then you can click on it and it will take you directly to the book. You register. Once you've registered, download the app, do the same registration. Okay? But it's free. Well, you already paid for it. Okay? It's included in your tuition. So it costs like $40 extra to take this class. The book usually costs about $65. So it's a pretty decent deal. Okay? There's a workbook that's required for this class. You have to do about, somewhere between 5 to 7 things with it. Okay? But you can go there and get an online version. It's $23. You can get a hard copy version of it. I like having a hard copy because I like to write on hard copies. But that said, I also understand that you may say, look, I don't have $23. We'll post the relevant workbook bits up there on Canvas. Okay? So you don't have to buy the workbook. I think it's useful to have it, but you don't have to buy it. The final books that are necessary for this class is you have a choice between 3 books. And your choice are between these 3 books. Gann's Killers of the Flower Moon. Soon to be a major motion picture near you. Okay. Killers of the Flower Moon by Gann. Details murders of the Osage people that were not prosecuted until the FBI stepped in. It actually built the modern FBI, as a matter of fact. Another option you have, okay, hold on. It looks okay. You got it? It's okay, everything's okay. Another option you have, you can read Killers of the Flower Moon, which frankly is a really easy read. okay, and it's about Oklahoma, which is nice, is Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. This deals specifically with the way in the United States, like India and Nazi Germany, we've created a system based on race that is a caste system. The third book Eric's going to pull up here, it's called Down Girl by Kate Mann. The cheapest and the shortest. It's also theoretical. Okay. The logic of misogyny.
Yeah, one day.
In many ways, I have one day to buy it. In one day you get it from front, pretty fast. Okay. You read it on your e-reader, even cheaper, $8.99. And it deals again, it's parallel caste in a lot of ways, talking about the role of women in society. You can read any of these 3 books, any one of them. Do you have to read all 3 books? You have to read 2 out of 3 of the books. You have to read 1 out of 3 of these books. Yes. And you're going to, Eric, scroll down a little bit. You're going to write your very first paper, and you're going to use that book as a source. Okay? It is not a paper about the book. It is a paper using the book to talk about themes in terms of civil rights. Okay? You're going to use the book, and it needs to be one of your key sources. Okay? One of these 3 books. MindTap, that's Cengage, that's your textbook. There are going to be weekly quizzes that are up there that are due before, well, they're due by noon on Monday. Okay? So that means you could actually come to the class and be like, oh, I totally forgot to do it, and then you do it. All right? They're due by noon on Monday. I'd like for you to do them before because we'll be talking about the stuff that you're doing that week. With the quizzes, we're going to go to Cengage in a second, and I'll show you the textbook. But Democracy Labs, those Friday labs that these fellows you just met are teaching, right? They're worth 10% of your grade in this class. The Cengage is worth 10% of your grade in this class. Those are letter grades. Okay? Do you have labs with this class on Friday? Yeah. Is it in here?
No.
Okay. Is there just 25 of you and you're with one of these people? Yes. Okay. The workbook is 5% of your grade. You're only going to have to turn in 5 of the 6 chapters that we'll have posted. Okay. But you have to do it timely. And so if you miss one of those 5, you can turn in the 6th one and get that point. Okay. So The Killers of the Flower Moon, or Cast, or Down Girl, that book paper is worth 15% of your grade. Your policy paper, where you tell me a policy that you think should be implemented by the federal government to save the world, 15% of your grade. Exam 1, 15% of your grade, online. Exam 2, online on a Friday. The first exam is the Wednesday before OU Texas. Because I'm not mean. Okay? So the Wednesday before OU Texas, that exam, all right? The Friday exam is going to be it's going to be open all day online as well. You'll still have your labs. They might remind you to take an exam that day. Okay? And then the final exam will be during finals week, and I think in this class it's the 14th. And so it'll be open like from midnight to midnight. Okay? Again, online. If you miss a class because you have a university sanctioned event, you wrestle, you play lacrosse, you debate, okay? You go to world government class, world government something, right? Whatever. What's this thing called? You know, we're OIL, Oklahoma Intercollegiate Legislature. Whatever. We'll get notices about that that remind us, and we'll make sure you're able to make up. Ditto if you're sick, but listen, let's talk about being sick. I just coughed a little bit, but I swear it's because I didn't swear. Let's talk about basic. I did not want you to come in here all snotting all over everybody. I am not interested in that happening. Okay? Do not come in here snotting all over everybody. Stay home. Okay? You should know that at the end of the semester, if you aren't here, you don't have a physician's note telling you that you're sick, or you don't have a university sanctioned event telling you you're going to be gone, then I will look at that and I'll go, oh, they only came 50% of the time. I am not going to give them that bump. But if you come 75% of the time, I'm going to give you that bump. So if you have a snotty nose more than 25% of the time, you probably need to see a doctor anyway. Right? Okay. What? And in case you missed, we do post, and it'll be up on Canvas. We do post this video, recording. Eric's recording right now, as a matter of fact. It'll be up there. Okay? I put a Zoom up there, but I'm out here, so it doesn't make sense. Can't make it make sense. The slides will also be up that I use. So late papers or late assignments are about 10% for every 3 days, which means you lose about 3% a day. Okay? That said, if you contact your fellow because it's 11 o'clock and it's due at midnight, and your computer just crashed, they'll probably be kind to you and say, get it in by morning. Eric actually won't respond to you, but send the email, right? Eric goes to sleep at 9 p.m. He wakes up at 5 a.m. Eric and I are different people. So let's scroll down here. Let me say this though, okay? We're critically analyzing issues of the day. Do people have strong opinions about politics? Yeah. Do they sometimes get really mean and hostile? Don't do that in here. You can have your strong opinions. You can be strident and passionate, and I strongly suggest you do that. But be kind one to another. Because if I can teach you how to speak to each other, if Eric and I can be collegial, who are definitely on opposite ends of the political spectrum, then so be it. And we worked together for 4 years. Okay? So, be kind to one another. Speak with kindness to one another. Okay? Yeah, that's the other thing. If you don't use facts, I will be using them. Okay? And that's fair, because I'm not interested, I am interested in you telling me your opinion. I want you to have your own ideas. But I'm not interested in you saying, well, I heard. I'm not interested in you going to a, bogus website saying, well, in the news I saw. You need to know how to find good information and use it. This is not a tabloid class. So, the University of Oklahoma is committed to providing reasonable accommodation to all students. If there's something you need and you're not getting it, go talk to ADRC, but also talk to me. Okay? Academic integrity, here's the key. Don't cheat off one another. It's lazy. And number 2, be respectful to the people whose work you use. When you cite somebody, that's not plagiarism. That's respecting, hey, I got this information from this place and I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Okay? Religious obligations, if you have religious obligations and you need to miss class as a result of this, let your fellow know in advance, because we are not going to ask you what your religious observations are. But if you have something going on, just let them know in advance and you will be excused. Title IX, for any concerns regarding gender-based discrimination, sexual harassment, and sexual misconduct, stalking, or intimate partner violence, the #1 killer of women. contact OU. Sexual misconduct office 325-2215 or OU advocate 615-0013, or tell us and we will take you somewhere. Talk to somebody. Active military service, I have actually done something where somebody is going to be called up for 2 weeks. If you have something going on and you still want to participate in the class but you may miss, just let us know so that we can make sure. So this is Dennis, the Bobos will be up soon. There's Dennis, there's Ilea, there's Peter, there's Eric, there's me. So COVID-19 policies, you're strongly encouraged to get vaccinated and boosted. I had COVID for the first time 2 weeks ago. And I got to lay in bed and people stayed away from me, so that was nice. But other than that, I was pretty much okay. That does not mean other people around you will be okay, however. Okay? Especially people who are immunocompromised, and if you are having problems and you need to talk to me about that, please do. Here's our basic schedule. There might be small changes. But for the most part, the readings are there in the center. If something is due, it's in pink. Okay? But the readings are in the center, the theme is over here, the dates are next to it, and that's it. So, I'm only letting you go by the server, no, sorry. Wait. Oh. 2 things. I had you fill out something. You either need to bring that back on Wednesday with the information to fill out, or